Hello and welcome to this week's Craft and Chat. I'm Amanda Fowler and I'm live on my Inspiring Inking Facebook page and my Inspiring Inking YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today, whether you're watching live or on the replay. Do leave me a comment, let me know where you're watching from, and if you're watching live, please can you let me know if you can hear me and see me and all that kind of stuff, so I know that I'm in the right place. Excuse me. Let me just get a slurp of my tea. And get rid of the frog in my throat. So how are we doing today? Let me know. I can see I've got little eyeballs. There's a little eyeball icon on my screen, so I can see that you can see me. So that's a good start. Good morning, Tina, and good morning, Donna. Sound and picture is good, and that is pretty impressive because Donna's in Australia and I'm here in the UK. Good afternoon, Scylla. Good to see you. I hope you're feeling a bit better, Scylla. Okay, so I have a few things to talk to you about this week, and then I've got some more heat embossing hints and tips to do with watercoloring and heat embossing. So that it's lots of fun, and it's a way to add interest to your heat embossed images and so on. So we'll have a bit of fun with that. Who else is here? Margaret's here. Ali's here. No, Ali's watching me on the big screen. I'm not entirely sure that's a good plan. And good afternoon, Michelle. Okay, so World of Stamping Up. As you know, we've got the retiring list for this catalogue is running at the moment. There are some discounts, depends which market you're in. Here in Europe, there are a few discounts. In the US, Canada, Australia and New Zealand, I'm not sure what your discounts are, but do check with your local demonstrators or go on your relevant website and you'll be able to see. What else? Here in Europe, if you are waiting on an order, I am sorry to say you're going to be waiting a wee while longer. So we had a special offer, you may remember, with discounts on ink pads and cardstock particularly. And a couple of days after that, the retiring list launched. And a couple of days after that, oh, I've gone all soft focus again. Hang on. I have to get closer to the camera and then it refocuses. That's weird. Anyway, so then we had the retiring list launch, and then the warehouse did the stock take. Not great timing, but obviously you have to do a stock take at some point, and it's never going to be a good time. So as a consequence, the warehouse are currently running 8 to 9 days behind, and that's working days. That's not actual days. So they are currently, as of today, they are currently picking and sending out orders from the 15th or the 16th of November. If you've placed orders with me, be aware I am tracking them and I am keeping an eye on them. If it slips any more, I will let you know, but they're hoping to be kind of caught up by the end of the week. So what tends to happen is when they're picking orders, when we have a high volume of orders, obviously they can only pick so many a day. But after a special offer, the orders tail off. So there's less, obviously, like the following day and the following couple of days. So then they can get through those days quicker. So in theory, come the end of the week, things should start moving a bit quicker. So like I said, if you've placed orders with me, I'm tracking them. I promise that if there's any more delays, I will let you know. And if you want products for Christmas, you need to get the order in before the 15th of December. Now, I say this every time. If you want something, you need to order it now. Don't wait. Because like this delay with the orders going out, I couldn't have predicted that. Not like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. We didn't know. We didn't know that. So I've gone wonky again. This is weird. Do I keep going out of focus? That's just odd. Anyway, so like I said, I couldn't have predicted that. So it's better to place your order sooner rather than later. If you want December's craft along, which is on the 28th of December, so it's kind of, you know, after Christmas, but before the new year. So it means that you've got, you know, a bit of crafting time. You can hide out and come and craft with me. We're going to be working with some really fun, bright papers ready for spring. So, so, you know, if you want to do that craft along, you either place a £49 order in my online store and then I'll email you with a voucher code for the class, or you can buy the class, which is £19.50. Or you can buy, and that's including a kit. Both of those include a kit. If you don't want a kit and you want to craft with your own products, that's fine too. And there's a PDF version as well. So by all means, check out my website. Let me put my website up. Check out my website, inspiringinking.com. Go onto classes and events and you'll see all of the information there. Okay, so who else has arrived? Let's have, oh my word. I was obviously chatting a long time. Sorry. So let's have a look. Good afternoon, Margaret and Joanne. Ali says I'm massive on her big telly. Yeah, I don't know, Ali. I think you're a glutton for punishment. Lorraine's here. Hello. Scylla's better. That's good. Chris and Angela are here, and it's grey in Newbury. Yeah, it's grey here. Rubbish weather here. Although, to be fair, I haven't actually stuck my nose out the door. It's only what I've seen in out the window. Tanya's here. Hello. And Sue and Donna. Donna's got a copy of the mini catalogue. Now, Donna's a demonstrator, so that's how she's got a copy. For everyone else, the new mini catalogue will arrive on your doorsteps from me. If I'm your demonstrator, if I'm sending it out, my aim is always to have it arrive between Christmas and New Year or just into the new year. So I think, what's the date on this? Yeah, so I think it's the 4th of January it goes live. So, yeah, so it'll go in the post. Although our post here in the UK is pretty rubbish at the moment. Sue, has your kit arrived? Sue's just down the road from me, and I posted all of the craft along kits over a week ago, 8-9 days ago. And she is, I could drive to her house in about 7 or 8 minutes, probably. and it hadn't arrived even yesterday. Yeah, so Tina's saying it's the same in the US. They're really behind. Mum's here. Hello, Mum. Pauline's here. Peggy's saying she loves my earrings. Thank you. So let me see the little hearts. I've got a necklace to match. Brian bought them for me for my birthday in May, and many of you will know that was at the end of the the Stampin' Up cruise, where I actually got COVID on the last day and I was really sick. Well, it's actually my birthday that day and I was really poorly, so they've kind of stayed in the cupboard because it's like, oh, it was such a rubbish old time. But I fished them out yesterday and thought, I've got these really pretty things. I should be wearing them. So that's my mission over the next few weeks, to wear all my pretty things. So there we go. Thank you. Let's have a look. It's cold in Germany. Cart & Co is here. Yeah. Have you got snow? It's going to be cold here next week, apparently. Oh, that's rubbish. Sue's saying, because she's been outside, it's been sunny and only just clouding over here. Sunny and 6 degrees for Joanne. Tina. Oh no, Sue. So Judith's got hers, and she's about this. She's she's probably 6 minutes away from my house. I'm sorry. I'll do a bit more tracking, Sue, when I get finished on this live, and see if I can figure out what's happened, because that's pretty rubbish. Okay, I will figure it out. Okay. So in other news, had a bit of a revelation this week that may help some of you, or it may help your partners. Okay. So I snore, and it's not like a gentle kind of, snuffly snore. It's loud and actually makes the bed vibrate because it's so loud. So my poor darling husband, who has to put up with so much to be married to me, also hasn't been sleeping because my snoring's been getting worse. And it has been getting progressively worse. And many of you will know that I'm going through all kinds of investigations because of my cough. And let me just get rid of that banner a minute. Yeah, so I'm going through lots of investigations at the moment because of my cough. And I've been quite concerned because obviously it's, it disturbs Brian, the snoring. It disturbs me. So I'm waking up because I'm hearing myself snore. And then actually I'm lying there awake thinking, I don't want to go to sleep again because I'm just going to be loud again. So I spoke to the GP and we've ruled all kinds of things out. So there's nothing fundamentally wrong with me. Just I snore. So one thing and one reason for snoring, which I'm sure many of you will know, is actually excess weight. And I am carrying more weight than is good for me, really. And I know that. But I can't fix that immediately. So that's something that, I can fix over time, and it's working, but it's just going to take time. And, I'd like to get some sleep now, and so would Brian. So the GP pointed me in the direction of the British Snoring Association. I think, or British Snoring Society. Google it, you'll find it. And they have a snoring test. Okay. So the snoring test, you have to breathe in and out, cover your nose up, stick your tongue out, do all kinds of weird things to kind of figure out what kind of a snorer you are. And then they've got hints and tips and different things that you can do. And for the type of snoring that I do, I needed something called a mandibular device, which sounds like a torture device, looks like a torture device. And actually what it is, it's a mouse guard that goes on your top teeth and it's joined and it goes onto your bottom teeth. Now, obviously the British Snoring Society have very expensive ones. But when I had a conversation with the GP, she said, no, well, you can get them from all over the place. So I did a bit of investigating and figured out there's a company called Snories in the UK. And they have one of these devices. And they also have an app. Now, the reason that I'm sharing, and I know I overshare, I just like to take you all along with the journey of my life, because I think this snoring app will actually really help you. If any of you have got these kinds of issues, and basically you put it on your phone and it records you overnight. Now, you can pause it, you know, if you're having a conversation or whatever, you can pause it, but it records you overnight. And the first 2 nights, I was snoring about 50% of the night. No wonder nobody was getting any sleep. And I knew my snoring was loud, but I didn't quite know how loud. So I got this mandibular device. And it's not pretty, and it's not that comfortable, although I'm getting used to it now. The first night I put it in, and I only was wearing it for about 3 or 4 hours, and my snoring had reduced by half. The past 2 nights, where it's been in all night, there's been almost no snoring. So all of a sudden, we're all getting sleep, which is awesome. But I just wanted to share because I've been through every kind of spray and tape and all kinds of different things to try and get this problem sorted, and nothing's worked, but this has. So honestly, it's incredible. So it is well worth going onto the Snoring Association website and doing the test and figuring out what it is, what type of a snorer you are, and therefore what things could help you. So just in case it helps you, I just thought I'd share. So, no, Ali, not a wifely snore, not like a, not like a puppy that just kind of sniffles. No, just loud. Hi, Stella. Texas is in the house. Yes, Donna, I am absolutely sleeping so much better. And so's Brian. Bless him. With him being he's worked on aircraft and used to being in very loud environments, and he's got really good earplugs, but even the best earplugs doesn't stop the reverberations. So I'm thrilled. And yeah, long may it continue. So I will keep you posted over the coming weeks as to how it kind of works out. Okay, so Joanne's going to keep it in mind for future reference. Exactly. And do you know what? I was talking to a friend the other day, and she and I had been talking about power of attorneys, which is something here in the UK, which is about supporting people should they ever lose capacity to look after themselves for finance or health and welfare reasons. And we've been talking about this, and I was just sharing something that I've been doing. And she then had a conversation with somebody else who had a conversation with somebody else. And it helped those people just from kind of a short conversation we had. And that's why I share, because, you know, it might not be something that is relevant for you right now, but you might know somebody that it might help. And, you know, that's what we need to do. We need to help each other. So that's good. Thank you, Margaret. Okay, so shall we chat about the crafting now? Okay, so if you haven't seen it, last week's craft and chat was all about heat embossing, and I explained really carefully that most of the times the problems that you're having with heat embossing are not you. Most of the time, it's because the tools or equipment aren't the right ones, or they just need updating. So I talked to you a lot about Versamark and getting a really good embossing powder. All of those links for all of the products you'll find on my blog, and it'll be underneath. So you'll be able to kind of shop for all of those links. But today, what I'm going to be doing is using watercolor with the embossing. So I'm using this, which is the Stampin' Up paper. So it's the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. Now, we used to have a paper, shimmery white cardstock, which is what I always used to watercolor on because it was quite smooth. And I didn't like the watercolor paper that Stampin' Up had. I know, shock horror. Because it was too bumpy. Well, now they've brought out this one, and it is cotton. And it's not completely smooth, but it's quite smooth. So it works great for stamping on. It works great for heat embossing on. So that's what I'm going to be using. I've got a couple of cards to show you, a couple of techniques. And yeah. And oh, well, firstly, what I do want to show you is I reached a sales milestone a little while ago with Stampin' Up. And, you know, any of these milestones and things, we get bonuses, and, you know, and it's really cool. And I say this often, and I think I should say it more often, but thank you so much for supporting me and my business and allowing me to do what I love every day. You know, I don't have a business if it wasn't for you. And quite often we, like I say, we get rewards or bonuses or other things, but we also get cards because Stampin' Up sells cards. And this card came, and this is a card from Shelley, who is the owner of Stampin' Up, and it's oh, you can't see, but it's handwritten, and it just, I don't know, you guys know how important it is to send handmade cards, but it's so lovely when somebody takes the time to make you a card and write in it and send it. So I'm really, really pleased. And there's a couple of things on this card that I'm going to point out when we get to this part, because this bit is actually, I know it's upside down. This bit is actually one of the techniques I wanted to show you. And so it was written in the stars or whatever, because I said last week this is what I was going to do, and then that arrived at the weekend. So there we go. So I'm gonna switch the camera around. Let me stop that. Move that. Oh no, that's the wrong way. I'm pressing the wrong buttons. Yay! There we go. Okay, so I've got water painters. We've got there are different sorts here. So, oh, not that one, because that one's for white. These were aqua painters that we had originally. Then Stampin' Up brought out their own water painters. If you are not clumsy, then do just use a paintbrush and water. I'm taking my life into my own hands here. I've actually got water on the table, which is a disaster waiting to happen. But nevertheless, we will try. Oh, so let's see. So the first thing that I'm going to show you, let me get this out, is I'm using Very Cute and Sparkling Snowflakes. I've used the Versamark ink pad, and I've used clear embossing. Now, make sure that you label it, because the clear embossing and the white embossing, you can look at them and think, oh, which one is which? And then you have to check. So do make sure that you label it. Now, let's see whether or not the camera's going to pick this up. Can you see those snowflakes? Oh, maybe if I tilt it like that. Can you see them? You have to let me know. So what I did was I've stamped the snowflakes in Versamark on the watercolor paper. Now, I stamped the big ones first, then put the powder on, and then stamped the others. And the reason I did that was so that I wasn't sort of overlapping. And I'm going to bring that like that. So here I've got a silicone mat. Ooh. And I've only got one re-inker. My other re-inker must have fallen out coming up the stairs. Oh no. That's a disaster. Okay, you're going to have to wait 1 minute because that's not here. Ooh, right. I'll be back. How bizarre. It was at the bottom of the stairs. So I've got that. This is Balmy Blue. And this is Night of Navy. Now, I have a re-inker for every ink pad that I have. And I always recommend that you buy a re-inker when you buy the ink pad. It just means then you'll never run out. But if you haven't got a re-inker, just smush your ink pad on your silicone mat. So let me just use this. So I'm just going to drip a bit of water just to make this a bit more like paint. Now, there are several other ways that you can do this. So I'm using re-inker, and basically I'm making paint. If you haven't got the re-inker or an ink pad, you could use a marker and scribble it. So that would work as well. You just need a bit of colour. And then all I'm going to do is go over the top. And this is a technique called emboss resist. So can you see where the snowflakes are? That is resisting the watercolour that I'm putting over the top. Sandy just said it's a good job nobody stood on it. Yeah, there's only me in the house, so we're okay. But how cool is that? Your snowflakes just appear. So now I'm going to go over it from the bottom. Oh, with that darker colour. And then I'm going to kind of blend the two. And the more water you put on, or the more ink that you put on, you will get like a darker effect. And it's really, really cool. Now you can just leave that to dry if you want to. I don't suggest you heat it with a heat gun because it will cause an issue with the heated images already. But you can take like a scrumpled up piece of kitchen roll and dab it on and get a more broken up color. Let me lift it up a bit so you can see. So I like it dark. So I'm going to go back over it again, but you can kind of do whichever way you want to and just leave it to dry. So that works really, really well for like a background image. I've gone right to the edges, but you could just do it like in the center. That works. But what I suggest you do then is leave it to dry. Dry up your mat. Now, obviously, I'm not being very frugal there with my ink because I'm using paper towel, but you could, and had I brought some cardstock upstairs, you could have dabbed your cardstock on the ink and actually lifted it up. I made another background, but in best Blue Peter style, here's one I made earlier. And I've got a sentiment that I did earlier as well. Just going to use some of these edges. Now covered in ink. All right, so let's put that just Let's turn it that way around. Yeah. Pop it there. So then I'm just going to trim it off. But imagine all the different ways you could do this, all the different things that you could do, images that you could use. So obviously I've got snowflakes because that's time of year we're in, but you could use all kinds of flower images or abstract images. My Merry Christmas is lopsided, but that's okay. Straight's overrated, remember. So there we go. So you will see that this isn't quite a full layer on the card, and that's because the this watercolor paper is 5 by 7, I think. Yeah, it's 5 inches by 7. But I love that. Such a cool technique. So that's a really, really quick way of doing the emboss resist. Now, let me rearrange. And now I'm moving on to the gold embossing. And the first thing I want to show you is what I didn't manage to show very well last week. And one of the things that I said was that what can happen is you can melt an embossing powder so much that it like sinks into the paper. And I've managed to do it on this one to hopefully show you. So if you look at the stems here, they're sort of shiny gold. And as you come up and you come to this bit, there is no shine. I'm going to kind of bend it and see if you can see. There's no shine and it's kind of sunk in. And this is what can happen if you overheat it. And obviously the most impressive thing about heat embossing is that it's raised and it's shiny. So I'm going to start out with a big-ish piece. So this is from the Cheerful Daisies stamp and stamp set. So let me I've got Melon Mambo. And I'm using the lid as a palette. So I'm just going to squeeze some water in here. And basically what I did was I just squashed the ink pad. So you just get your ink pad like this and you squash it in between your thumb and your fingers. Now these ink pads, this style, the new style, they're quite firm. The plastic's quite firm, so you do have to give it a really good squeeze. But you can still get ink in there. Yeah. So I'm just getting ink in here. And then you can paint like this. And again, basically, the embossing works as a resist. So what happens is it doesn't flood out. So I'll just do another one. And the ink just stays inside that petal like that. Now what you can do, let's get some kitchen roll. Actually, I'll just clean that brush. What you can do as another way, if you want a more washy kind of watercolor wash, is just get some water And clean water is better, but it's okay that this has got pink in it. But put some water in those petals and then pick up your ink and then sort of touch it in there. And what will happen is it will give you a bit more of the color. So the easiest way, because this water's now pink, the easiest way is for me is to put some more water on some of these and then flood it with a different color. So I'm going to end up with a two-tone color of daisy. So let me get my blue. Right. So I've got my blue ink. Let me bring this up. So can you see these three petals here? They've just got water in them. And if I just touch it with the blue, can you see it's going to flood in there? And over time, what will happen is that will just kind of sink into the paper. So you can see where it's pink, look, and I touch it with the blue. Let me pick up some more of that blue. And it's just going to pull it in. So you can get like multicolored petals just by mixing your colors and putting more water in. So let me just, I'm going to do a couple where I'm going to paint it. And then that's already blue in there. So we've got lots of shading there. So can you see these ones here I just painted straight away. These ones had pink water in and I've touched it with blue. These have got blue and pink. And then these have just got the blue as blue kind of in there as well. Now, this is quite a small image. The petals are quite big, but there's not huge open spaces. So if you've got an image that's got lots of areas that you can flood, like a big rose image or something like that, you can actually get multiple colors, like 3 or 4 colors. Whereas this one, obviously, I've only got a couple, but it just works really well. So I'm going to put that to one side as well. And what I will do is when that's dry, I'll take a picture of it, and you'll be able to see it by checking out my blog. Okay, let me just clean that up. Okay. So let's move on to this second card. So this is the image that I've got. Now, this is really small. These flowers are really small. So you need to have a fine tipped brush. You don't want anything that's really fat, because you're never going to be able to color in easily. So I'm just going to, there you go. So let me show you. There's 2 different ones. So this one comes to quite a fine tip, but this one's even finer. So I'm going to use this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm painting this time. So I'm just making it nice and wet, and I'm just going over the top and colouring in that image. Now, the awesome thing with watercolouring is it doesn't matter if you go outside the lines. And I know for some of you that is just going to be really scary. But if you think about a watercolor painting that you've ever seen, they're often, it's like a wash, it's gentle and it's soft and there's no hard lines. So if you really, really want to stay inside the lines, you can do that because the heat embossing will help you do that. But equally, if like me, you're not that worried about it, then you can just kind of slap the paint on in a happy manner and you'll be fine. So, so there you go. So I've done all the colouring of the Melon Mambo. I'll just clean my brush again. Got some more there. Now there is only a tiny bit of area of leaves that I can colour in. So that is, I've coloured in all of the leaves, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down beside the stems. So I'm actually just giving like a coloured wash around the edges. And that is really, really simple to do. And it makes the gold embossing pop, but equally, again, it means it doesn't matter if you've gone over the lines. Now, I love splatting. Now, you can see that on here. Shelley's done that with heat embossing. Now, there are stamps that you can use to do splats, but you can also do it with your water painter. Now, I've got green on this now. And if you use, I'm just moving everything out of the way. If you use your lid with a little bit of ink paint on your brush and you put the brush tip in the lid and flick down, you will get splats now. Can you see them? All different sizes of splats. There are splats on me and splats on the table. So don't do this on your best table. And if you do it, make sure you clean up. Now, you can leave them to dry. And I've got one I did earlier. But you don't have to do it with colour. So you could just do that with water. And if you are fast, and this is what Shelley's done on this one, and I'll show you on the one that I've done. If you're fast, you can sprinkle your embossing powder over it, and you will get embossing powder on the tiny splats. It's such a cool technique. But like I said, if you don't feel confident doing that, let me just see what page this is. Page 22. Buy a stamp set that has splats in it. So this has splats, colour and contour. Oh no, delicate details, I think it is. Ew. Oh, I don't know which stamp set this is now. So they're big splats. I don't necessarily think big splats are the things to do. Hang on. I've left the stamp set downstairs. Are you all shouting at me, telling me what this stamp set is? Let's just go through the whole catalogue. quiet meadow. So that one, so that's the image that I've got here is this one, which is so awesome. But that's a really good splat as well. So if you don't feel confident doing splatting, you can use a stamp. But I'm going to get it so that you really are confident with splatting, because we're going to be doing it a lot. Right. So anyway, so I'm going to put that to one side because I have one that I made earlier. Ta-da! And look at the gold embossing with all the splats. And heat embossed my little thinking of you. So that's got gold heat embossing on it. And then before I'm going to put that down, one of the things that I love to do is to put some thread or some twine on my cards. Now, normally what I do is I wrap it around my fingers a few times and then kind of hold it and then fiddle about with it and stick it behind the sentiment so that when it's down, it's sort of artistically messy. Can you see how fine this is here on Shelley's? What she's done is she's untwiddled this. So this is elegant trim and it comes in silver and gold. And what she's done is she's pulled one of the threads out, untwizzled it. So she just, can you see it? She's just pulled it out. So she's got really fine thread. Now this has got the one that I've pulled out, and then it's probably 6 or 9 threads in there. So now I'm going to wrap it around again with the way that I normally do it. And then actually what I think I'll do is I will put, where's that going? It's going just there. I'm going to put a little bit of tape down and pin this down. And all I'm doing, because the sentiment's going to go over the top. Can you see? It's just there. Let me just trim this off a bit because that's a bit too long. But I'm just going to bend bend the thread just to make the loops a bit smaller. Like so. And then and to pin that down over the top. And how cool is that? Let me just, hang on, make that a bit smaller there. How cool is that? It's so cool. So then that is going on there. Oh, let's just let's just do it slightly less wonky. There we go. There we go. So there is the finished card with embossed splats and everything. Let me just move the dangerous things out the way, as in the ink pads and the water, and then I'll just show you the finished cards. So she says, famous last words. What did I do? Oh dear. Okay. So there's my two that I've made. There's Shelley's original one as well. Thank you. So thank you so much for all of your comments. I hope I've inspired you to get those embossing powders and emboss and heat guns and stuff out of the cupboard. If you've got any questions about heat embossing or actually any paper crafting techniques, do send me an email. Let me just put my email address up there. And email me and let me know, and I will cover it in a future craft and chat. Because I love to be able to share some hints and tips, and sometimes that's all we need. We just need to see something or watch something being demonstrated for it to click, and then, you know, we've got another technique or another way of card making that we didn't know before. So I love to hear from you. So do please send me some messages. All of the products that you've seen today are available in my online store. If you haven't registered already for my email newsletter, you can do that on my blog, which is www.inspiringinking.com. And I will be back next week at 2:00 UK time. And I look forward to seeing you then. Take care till then. Goodbye.